Welcome to the B Circle podcast. Together, let's be all God called us to be. Let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to the B Circle. I'm so glad you joined us today. We are always excited to welcome you around our table, to enjoy our stories, and to show you how you can be all that God has called you to be. I'm here with Tisha and Breezy today. Julie is with her family, enjoying some much needed family time, but she'll be back real soon. But thank you for joining us, whatever platform you listen or watch on. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Please like and follow us. How are you ladies doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Doing great.
I'm great.
Excited to be here.
Excited to be here.
Very excited.
We're just going to dive right in today. We're going to talk about God's timing, talk about God's perfect timing. And you know what, ladies? I don't like time always.
Me either. Yeah.
I don't like time. I don't like time in your body, time in your face, As time goes on, things start appearing, things start happening, things start falling, gravity is real, all this kind of stuff is real. Gravity is real. I'm just here to tell you it's real. Thank God for good stuff you can buy that helps you pull it all back up. But, gravity is a real thing. And I don't like it. So I don't always like time, like you say, and in a few years. Well, in a few years, what else is sagging?
I've been saying that word in my head, and I've been waiting for one of you to say it out loud. Because things do start to say.
I don't know what's going to happen in a few years. In a few years, it's going to be sagging even more, Just like when you go, when I go to the salon or to the spa, they'll say, don't sleep on your side. Don't sleep on your side. Because if you sleep on your side, everything's pulling this way.
Oh, that's...
Y'all didn't know that,
I didn't know that. I sleep on my side.
Me too. When you sleep on your side, everything pulls this way. So it's falling. So you figure if you sleep 8 hours a night, you sleep on your side, then all this is going whatever side you lay on. And then that's why you have all these little things right here, is because all that.
Is that why when I look in the mirror, I feel like one side of my face is better than the other?
And then they tell you that as you get older, you get these puppet lines. They call them puppet lines or ventriloquist lines that come right here.
I've always heard too, like you shouldn't use straws and stuff because that
makes like smoker's lines. They call them smoker's lines.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I don't always like the concept of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Because over time, your car gets old.
Yeah, it's true.
Your house gets old. Your body gets old. Things get old. The only thing don't get old is my husband. He is young and thriving. I love my husband. He's good. He's good. Time don't affect him. He don't even pay any attention to time, honestly. Yeah. Well, you can be like, we got to go somewhere in 3 hours. And he's like, honey, you got to get ready. Okay.
Well,
it don't.
Colton, we were at World Convention, and he was getting ready because he was preaching. And he was like, Brianna, I'm getting older. Look at this. Because he literally pulled up the mirror. And I looked, and he's got one gray hair that's sticking out so much. But I told him, I said, I can't tell you how excited I am for you to have gray hair, because I think it's going to look amazing. And I'm like, I can't wait for that. So time in that place
is good.
It's great.
Oh, well, you know what, though? When I think about time, if we're going to put it biblical,
yes.
When I start thinking about time, I think about Abraham and Sarah. Yep. And how that God said, I'm going to make you the father of many. Your descendants are going to be like the sand of the sea and the stars in the sky. But it didn't happen.
Well, it took time to get there.
It did.
And I think sometimes, I'm not declaring this over my life, but I think sometimes if we're not careful, we can take a Sarah attitude. So it wasn't happening. The timing wasn't working in her favor. So she began to try to help God and take matters into her own hand.
Yes.
That's true.
And she messed up the whole thing. God was still faithful.
Yes.
But she messed up the whole thing because the time wasn't happening. The timing wasn't going her way. Wasn't the way she wanted it to be. Yeah. So she started encouraging her husband. Oh, God, help us women.
Yes, it's true.
We can get in our husband's ears and start encouraging them to do things that God didn't say.
It's true.
And when we do that, we mess up the whole timing. Because, God has a time clock for us. He has already predetermined from the beginning of the world. He said we were predestined. He knew us. He called us. And he is predestined from the beginning, the time frame for us. And we can throw off that time, in a car, if your timing chain is messed up. Now, look, I am not a mechanic. Look at me. But I can remember talking about the timing chain.
The timing belt.
Whatever.
Is it the timing belt?
Don't ask me.
Could be.
I always heard it was a timing chain. And when it starts slipping, then the timing on your car, like then your car would go, whoop, whoop, whoop. Right?
Okay, can I put in a side note real quick?
Sure.
So growing up, I had a Dodge Neon, okay? And it was awful. And every time I get in the car to drive, and I'd have to go up this really big hill, and I'd have all my friends in the car, okay? And I'd go up the hill, I'd be like, like a roller coaster, because it was trying to like keep up with it. And that, so you doing that just gave me a flashback. I'm sorry.
So if your timing's off in your car, your car ain't running right. It's not smooth. It's jerking. It's lagging. It's, you might rev the engine and then it'll be like,
it gets off rhythm.
Off rhythm. There you go.
Yep.
So when we get out of God's timing, we get off rhythm.
Yes, we do.
Good one, Breezy. That's why I keep you in the circle. Okay. But we get off rhythm. And Sarah, through God's whole promise, God did it, but it threw it off rhythm.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, it did.
So she says to Abraham, I'm tired of waiting, in a sense.
Right.
I don't want to wait. So God said he's going to So maybe what God meant is that you're supposed to go sleep with my maidservant, and God will give us a seed through him. So, I'm tell you, men are goofy. Because, I would think if I was a man, I'd have been looking at her man like, I already know there's trouble right there. I ain't doing it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I already know how you women are. You're jealous. I know how you are. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I'm going to wait on the Lord. But he did it.
No. Yeah.
And then after he does it, then that messes up Sarah's timing because he ain't in Sarah's tent all the time. Right? He's over taking care of Hagar now because she was his child.
Right.
And Sarah is convinced that now that's the promised seed because they're taking this into their timing of God into their own hands, and they're going to make this be the seed that God promised them when that wasn't the case at all. But she threw everything into helter-skelter. So Abraham's now over here in Sarah's tent every night. In Hagar's tent every night instead of Sarah's tent. So now Sarah's getting jealous because Abraham's out there because Hagar's belly's getting bigger. And it's a constant reminder to Sarah that you took timing into your own hand. Right. And your husband now slept with your maidservant. Now he's going to have a baby with her. What a mess.
That's really what was happening is she became discontent in the waiting.
Yeah.
And when you become that, you force things to make them happen. And like you said, then it creates a bigger mess. So I believe that's why that's in the word of be content, be in every whatever. Just be still.
Yeah.
No, just be still. And when you don't learn to be still and wait on God, then you create a mess when in reality, he was going to create a beautiful picture.
You create an atmosphere of chaos.
You do.
There you go.
You do.
You're out of rhythm.
You're out of rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of rhythm.
Yeah.
And she got that whole situation out of rhythm.
She did.
And if she could have just been still.
And we're still facing some of that.
Oh, we sure do.
We are. That has went from generation to generation, that decision. And I believe that's why we're facing some of the things we are.
I know in my family growing up that, you could hear one day God said, do this. So we're going to do this. But then if it didn't work out as quickly or as great as they thought, then God would say something else. So the timing was always from this to this to this to this. So in other words, I think God said this, but if God don't do this, then I'm going to jump chapters or jump pages, and I'm going to get over here now because God said this.
Yeah.
When God told Abraham, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make you the father of many nations. Your wife is going to conceive. In her old age, she's going to conceive. But they jumped the time frame.
Could you imagine being an author of a story and someone taking the pen from you
Mm.
and trying to write a story and being like, no, I can write it better, when in reality, it messes up the whole script of the book. When in reality, the main author who carried the vision, carried the, what it was supposed to be, and if we would have just allowed that one to write the full story
Wow.
and what it would have been like.
What would it have been like?
Yeah.
Wow. Of course, we wouldn't have had the story of Hagar and how that Sarah then got upset and angry after the child was born and wanted him sent away.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I'm sharing all that to share just from me. Oftentimes, if we're not careful, we want something and we want it now, and we want it in our way, that we can mess up not only our life, but other people's life. Because what Sarah did caused Hagar to be cast out. Abraham again did what Sarah told him.
Right.
Get rid of her, get rid of the child, take them out of here, get them away from me. I don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to look at them because I got our family out of rhythm. Now I don't want to be reminded of what I did. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
And of course, God was so gracious to Hagar, in that he protected her and he watched over her. But that situation right there is always a wonderful reminder to me. Be careful what you're trying to push to make happen. That's not in the time frame of God. Because just because God says delayed doesn't mean denied.
It doesn't. And I think we also, I feel like I'm a dreamer. Like, I love dreaming. I love when God places something in my heart and I can see it in my mind of going, yeah, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But when you're a dreamer and you're visionary, and I believe Sarah saw the dream of, yeah, we're going to have these babies.
Yeah.
And when you are a dreamer, it's so easy, if you are not careful and staying under the word, that you take matters into your own hands and you push and force doors to be open that God never intended. We're believing for some things as a church.
Big things, yeah.
Best things. And we got our eyes on the look. We're looking around, knowing, God, we're waiting wherever it's at. But it would be so easy for us to open a door and push for those things to happen.
Sure, you and I were going to buy a building.
I know. Pastor Farr.
Pastor Farr's like, slow
I
down.
had to re-expect it when you and I get together.
It ain't good.
Sometimes we dream so big, and Pastor Mark has such wisdom. He wasn't telling us to stop dreaming. And in fact, he used these words, girls, we must be able to window shop.
Yes.
And that stuck with me because you can window shop and keep that dream alive and wait on the Lord. And actually it fulfills that desire of feel like, I got to have it now. I got to have it now. Window shop. I had to do that with my house when I bought my house. I was believing, the Lord told me, you will have a house. But I had to wait to get to that point. I was living with Bree at the time, and I knew what the Lord had told me. But in my waiting, I still put my faith in action and went and window shopped. I said, God, I like this. I don't like that. And then he provided the perfect house at the perfect price at his timing. But if I would have pushed that, I know I would have messed everything up,
Yeah. Well, it's just like when you go to plant a tree, you pick the tree based on its maturity, what it looks like as it's matured.
Right.
So you plant the tree and you want that tree to be mature in the morning.
Yeah.
Amen?
Yeah.
But what happens is over time, over the years, over the months, over the weeks, that tree's roots are growing deep to where it's good and grounded. And it's going through a growth season through that time, getting to that mature place. And I think when we want to get out of God's timing and get out of rhythm, we miss some very major growth seasons because we're trying to rush from the promise to the fulfillment. We talk about this a lot in chapters. We're trying to get from chapter 1 to chapter 25 without going through the process. Because, I know I got people in my life, Pastor Joanne, she goes and shops in the winter. All the winter stuff that's on sale, 50 and 60% off. She'll buy all these winter clothes and all these winter shoes. And I'm always watching like this. I'm thinking, yeah, but you can't wear them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's waiting for the next season.
She's waiting for the next season. But I'm like, I don't want to wait for the next
I
season.
won't wear it now.
I want to go buy something right now that I can wear right now.
Right. Yeah.
And because I'm like that, subsequently, I'm paying full price for something that she bought out of season.
It's true.
That now she's wearing in the right season that cost her $9 or $10. It cost me $60
Yeah.
because I didn't want to take the time.
When you refuse to wait, it ends up costing you more.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's
true. So I don't like waiting.
Yeah.
I don't like time. I don't like the time it takes, like if I know I'm going somewhere, okay, I still got a week. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I want to go tomorrow. Why can't we go tomorrow?
Right.
Why can't it be tomorrow? Why can't we do it tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all are that way, but I'm that way.
I get impatient.
I do.
So how do you calm yourself?
I feel like it seems so simple and easier said than done, but I have truly had to lean into the Lord and say, God, help me to be content where I'm at without losing my vision of the future.
There you go.
That's what I was just thinking.
I have
Content.
Yep.
Because we don't know the things we know when we're now that we knew at 6. We didn't know at 16 what we know now.
Right.
It took time to establish that. And through that time, there was growth. What we would have done at 16, we wouldn't do now. Thank God.
Yeah. Praise God.
Thank God. Because time has, and time heals things too.
It does.
We get hurt and we want it to be over with in the morning, but it just takes time. If I skin my knee, it's going to take some time for my knee to heal.
That's right.
And time is important in our growth with God.
Yeah.
So what's a time when you got impatient?
Well, I'm walking through something right now where honestly, I was a Sarah in that moment trying to make something happen. And I made it happen, but I had to pay a very heavy cost for it. And now I feel like God is giving us the grace to fix it.
Amen. Because He's faithful.
He really is.
Well, God.
And he's, and I just want to encourage like any woman out there, or any man listening that seriously, like it's okay. And that God is going to give you grace and God's going to, make a way even, and that don't be ashamed of it.
That's right.
That's right. Because it's okay.
It is.
It's okay. I think we all, if we're honest with ourselves, have probably been a Sarah.
Absolutely.
2, maybe 5, 6, 8,
Absolutely.
and that God will give us grace to walk through that.
So I guess what we could say is if you've got out of rhythm,
Yeah.
just take a pause. Like if you're in church, breezy, you'll be on that keyboard and somebody will be out there and it seems like if they're off rhythm, they're clapping louder than anybody. Like the
Or
beat
with the
should be,
tambourine.
or with the tambourine. Oh my gosh, help us, Jesus. And you're like, I can't even hear myself think with that tambourine. How can you even be hearing the beat to play with us?
I know they should be banned.
Okay, you said it. But anyway, long story short, if you're out of rhythm, the best way to get back on rhythm is just stop. Listen. Get your bearings.
Yeah.
Get back in sync.
Because I literally was just thinking that when I'm in worship and, let's say, for instance, the drummer gets off beat for a minute, I think of, okay, let's just stop and let's do it again. Listen.
Yeah.
Let's listen to the rhythm of it because then we can become in sync with it. And then because when it's all working together, it becomes a beautiful masterpiece of something. And so, but when you've got people going and doing this, doing that, playing all these different things and and they really try to build up themselves or build up something, it just becomes a mess, chaos. But when you're on rhythm and you're in sync with each other, it's a beautiful, beautiful song.
So if you're off rhythm today, it's easy to get back on rhythm. If you don't like waiting, let me tell you right now, I don't like waiting. If I want a Pepsi, I want it now. You guys know that. I'm calling. We were out of town this week. I'm calling Tish yesterday morning. Bring me a Pepsi. Bring me a Pepsi. I need a Pepsi. You know, what is that? That commercial goes something about we want this cash settlement and we need it now. And that's how we can be. We're like, we want it now. We want it now. You know, ooh, give it to me now. I want it now. But that's not how it works.
PA, can you do that in for us?
I want it now. Give it to me now.
Have it your way.
Have it your way. I want it my way. Oh, if my husband's watching or listening, oh, he's going to remind me of this when I want something my way. But you know what? There is God's timing for everything. Wherever you're at right now, whatever you're waiting on, whatever you're walking through, trust the timing of God. Because God is never wrong. He's always right. He's always on time. He never misses a beat. Breezy said it best. Stop and listen. Get back in rhythm and watch God turn everything around for your good. Thank you for listening, watching the B Circle. Please like and follow us. We want you to go be all that you can be. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching or listening to The B Circle. If this week's podcast helped you, or if you want to know more, please contact us at thebcircle@gmail.com. Join us next week for more. Remember, be all that God's called you to be.